Hey guys, welcome to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista. Today is really ugly outside. We are on day 2 of this ice. Yesterday it was drivable, but today Stephen actually tried to go into work and he came back home a little bit down our street because he was seeing accidents everywhere and he just said it's really bad. I will show you guys what it looks like out there right now. But I don't know if you can see the trees have ice all over them. I don't want to slip out here. Be very careful. Ice layer on that. But guys, I noticed something yesterday when I was out here. I hope this is not a bad thing, but do you guys see that? Those are buds. All this whole tree, because we had some warm weather and this whole tree is budding and it's all covered in ice. So I'm hoping that that's not a bad thing. But it is very icy and very cold out here. So today we are at February the 1st. We are starting a brand new month and a brand new month of Pantry Challenge. As I had said on a couple of my other videos, I am going to be taking this into the month of February as much as we can, but I am going to give us a monthly budget of $25, and it is just so that we can get some fresh vegetables. The budget isn't going to be for us to run to the store and pick up little things that we need. It's going to strictly be for the farmer's market to go on Saturday and pick up some fresh produce like some lettuce and some kale. Other than that, we're going to strictly stick to the pantry. Oh, and my milk. I still am going to be allotting myself the $5 a week to get milk. So last month's total, we only spent $20 in the whole month of January on food. $20. That feels absolutely amazing to me because it feels like I am doing something right as far as getting food preserved and put up and food that we actually eat. So nothing really went to waste. We used everything that we have been preserving from our garden or from things that I had purchased from the Amish. And that's amazing. That was what I kind of wanted to see, is if how long we can actually survive off of the food that I work hard to can and put up in the summer. And I mean, I don't think we're going to have any issues in February either. I think we're going to be pretty good going into that month. So today, because it is so cold outside, I have one of Stephen's favorite soups that we are going to make today. It is called an Italian wedding soup. I got this recipe from Good in the Simple. I will link it below for you guys in the description box. So if you like it, you can give it a try. This, from what I am seeing here, this recipe comes together within 30 minutes and it only takes 30 minutes to cook. So it is a pretty straightforward, relatively quick meal to make. And then I also am going to be doing something fun. I have another fun experiment for us today. I am going to be attempting to make some air fryer donuts. Yep. Air fryer donuts. So we have to get that dough all ready because it does need to rise for a little bit. It says that it needs to rise for about an hour. So we are going to get that started. I'm just checking over the ingredients quickly here. This is not a sugar-free recipe. It only has about a quarter cup of sugar in it. So I mean, it's not a zero, but it's not a high sugar dessert. So I'm hoping these taste good. It does state also in here that you can freeze these donuts and that they're easy to reheat in the air fryer again, just to kind of freshen them up. So I'm excited about that little project we're going to do today. But I want to get the soup started because I kind of want to get that out of the way for the day. Like I said, it's only noon, but this soup is so easy just to reheat. So I figured might as well get it out of the way now so that we can get concentrating on those donuts. So this recipe only calls for 8 ounces of ground pork and 8 ounces of ground beef. I'm going to use a full pound of both because I'm actually going to end up making extra meatballs. I'm only going to use half of the meatballs we actually make now in the recipe itself. So just note that if you are making this recipe, what I am doing right now, I'm making double batch of meatballs. I always like to put meatballs in the freezer because it's such a quick, easy grab meal. I like having them on hand, so just note that. So I have a pound of ground beef here thawed, and then I also have a pound of ground pork thawed. What we are going to add to this bowl, and again, I'm kind of modifying the recipe a little bit because I don't have everything that it needs in it. Like, it calls for 1/3 cup of chopped fresh parsley. I don't have that right now. As you just seen outside, it's a nice storm. So we have dried parsley. So obviously we're not going to put 1/3 cup of dried parsley in there. I'm thinking we are probably going to go with a couple of tablespoons of dried parsley. It also calls for 1 slice of white bread, crust trimmed, grated, and shredded. We're just going to put in breadcrumbs because it's about the same thing. The other thing that this recipe calls for that we do not have is 10 ounces of frozen chopped spinach. We do not have that in our freezer. What we do have left from last month is we have some kale here that is starting to go bad. So this is fresh kale. We are going to use this instead of the frozen spinach. So just note when I'm making this, those are kind of some modifications I'm doing to make this kind of a pantry friendly meal for me. So in this bowl, we're gonna add a couple tablespoons of this dried parsley. I kind of have to take some of the stems off because this is stuff that I dried from my garden. Nobody likes a stem in their food. It also calls for 1 small onion grated, but if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I don't use onion because Stephen does not like it. So I'm gonna just put in some of this granulated onion so that we can still get that onion flavor. And I'm probably gonna throw in here, because these are a meatball, I'm probably gonna throw in here about 2 tablespoons. And I realized now that I'm doubling this, I'm gonna throw in a little extra parsley. And then it calls for 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. Again, because we're doubling this, we're probably gonna put in a couple of teaspoons. And it calls for 1 large egg. I'm just gonna put 1 in for now, and then I actually may come back if I think it needs it, and I'll add a 2nd egg. And then it calls for 1 slice of white bread. This is the description here. Crust trimmed, grated, and shredded. So again, we're gonna be using these breadcrumbs. So I am thinking maybe we're gonna put in about 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. Potentially more. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 3/4 cup. Calls for 1 teaspoon of salt, so probably gonna put in like 1.5 teaspoons. And it does not call for pepper, but I wanna put some in, so I'm probably gonna put about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper in here. Onion, parsley, egg, minced garlic, salt, and breadcrumbs. So now we are going to add actually, that's a lot. We're gonna stir this first, and then we're gonna add the Parmesan cheese and the meat. I'm actually gonna grab a cookie sheet, one of my lined cookie sheets, so that when I'm making the meatballs, I can just put them onto the cookie sheet. We're gonna add our ground pork in right now. This is actually pork that I ground up from I think it was a pork butt. I bought a pork butt and just turned it into all ground pork because we eat ground pork more than we would eat a pork butt. So the pork butt was on sale, or was it on a discount or something. So I just ended up grinding it up and using it for what we would use it for. And this is the pound of ground beef. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands quickly because I also need to add about 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese to this, so I don't wanna do it with dirty hands. So now we are gonna add half a cup of Parmesan cheese. I'm probably gonna go a little bit over half a cup because, again, we doubled the meat in here. Just use all of this Parmesan cheese. Probably gonna use 3/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. I am leaving the breadcrumbs out here because I'm just gonna give this a quick stir, and then I'm gonna see how much, if I feel like we need to add any more breadcrumbs to this. I definitely feel we need to add an egg though, so I'm gonna grab another egg and put that in there. Okay, that's good. Probably gonna get in here and mix this with my hands. Before I do that, I wanna show you guys this. So I buy my grated Parmesan cheese from Azure. I buy it in bulk. So what I do is I take these quart-sized mason jars, wide mouth mason jars, and I just divvy it out, and usually the portion that I get, I think it's 5 pounds of Parmesan cheese. Could be over, but I'm pretty sure it's 5 pounds. And I just divide it into these and put it in the freezer, and these last me for a long time, and it is substantially cheaper and better than buying it in those little tiny green bottles. If you go through a lot of Parmesan, even if you don't go through a lot of Parmesan, because you can just store this in the freezer and it's amazing. That's a little budgeting hack that I have. I'm just gonna get in here and just kind of mix this more with my hands. It's a little, it gets it better combined when you do it with your hands. It's not the nicest feeling, but what needs to be done. Now, because these are an Italian style meatball, you could probably add like an Italian seasoning to these also, and they would probably taste pretty good with that in there. But they do smell really good, that garlic. Traditionally, the recipe calls for 8 ounces of ground pork and 8 ounces of ground beef, so a total of 1 pound meat. So I wanna make about 1 pound of meatballs for the recipe, and then we're gonna put the other pound into the freezer. So I'm just kind of divvying up the stuff in here. Now, this recipe says that you can make the meatballs whatever size you would like. For us, because they're in a soup, I want to make these meatballs like a smaller, like kind of like a bite size. Whereas the ones that I'm gonna be putting in the freezer, I'm probably gonna end up making those more like this size. Actually, you know what I might do? I might just make them all really little, and then that way we have little meatballs in the freezer, and then that's perfect, even quicker of a way to make this recipe. So I think that's what I'll do. Okay, I am going to get started on making those. Right, so that is the full bowl. So this is 2 pounds of meat, and this is all of the meatballs we made. So we're just gonna take half of these meatballs, flash freeze them, and then we'll put them in a vacuum seal package when they are all individually frozen. And then the other half we will use for our recipe tonight. I wanted to show you guys something. When I was mentioning about the ground pork, how I make my own, I purchased this little tiny grinder. It is just like a home style grinder. I think I paid $25 for this. I either got it on Walmart.com or I got it on Amazon. And I was extremely reluctant purchasing it because it was such a cheap thing, and I thought, this can't possibly work for, you know, for what I need it for. This little thing has helped me process 2 full pigs. An endless amount of chicken has gone through this thing. It is absolutely amazing. I will leave a link if I can find it on Amazon. If that is where I purchased it, I will leave a link for you guys, because this thing is pretty beneficial. If you can find things, like I said, like a pork butt, if you can find that on sale, and you're not necessarily going to use that pork butt just to eat it as a roast, if you have one of these, you can make ground pork with it. You can make ground beef with it. What I do is I use chicken pieces that I don't necessarily like, put them through the grinder, and then I have ground chicken to make like burgers with or meatballs with or any type of dish. This thing is, it's not necessarily an investment because it was only $25, but it is it has definitely worked. It has been worth the money to have this thing because when you find cheap meat and you're not necessarily going to eat that cut of meat, you can grind it up and use it into what you would use it for. This thing also has the capability of making, it says here that you can make sausages with this thing also, and it says that there is a cookie attachment. So I guess I've never used the cookie attachment, but my guess is that you can put the cookie dough through it. There's a whole housing unit. I have it in this bag here. There's a whole housing unit that comes with it, so you can make different types of grades of sausage, different types of grades of ground, whatever you're grounding up. It's pretty awesome. I definitely would recommend it. Just to be able to have the freedom just to grind your own meat, it's pretty cool. Thought I would just show you guys that. I have to get my kale all washed up and de-stemmed. We do not really like the hard stem part, so I just take the stem off, give it to the chickens. So guys, I purchased this kale from the farmer's market, I think the weekend before the Pantry challenge, or maybe it was New Year's Eve I got it. I can't remember. I think it was New Year's Eve. So it is now February 1st, and look at the quality of it still. It is still absolutely amazing. I did nothing to it. I just kept it in its bag it came in and put it in the fridge. This is 100%, well, not 100%, but this is one of the reasons why I buy from the farmer's market, because fresh food stays fresh for so much longer in the fridge. Chickens will appreciate the little stems and green out there for them. So we're just gonna rinse this off, and then we're gonna run it through our salad spinner. We're gonna add 12 cups of chicken broth to here. So we're gonna use 3 quarts of our canned chicken stock that we have. We're gonna get this to a boil, and then we are going to add our kale to this pot also. If you are using frozen spinach, it also goes in at this time. And then it says that you need to bring it to a boil. I'm just gonna add our clean kale into here. Then I just have our meatballs sitting up here because we're not gonna add them yet. I also have 8 ounces of pasta. I am using this kind of pasta. It says to use any tiny pasta in this recipe. It actually does call for a particular kind, and I do not know how to pronounce it, so I will put it right down here for you guys. It says to use that pasta or any other tiny pasta, so we will use this one. I just got this from Azure Standard, and it is actually a brown rice one, so it is gluten-free, which is nice. I'm gonna go and get a lid for this because it boils quicker with a lid on it. Okay, I actually just checked. So this is what I am using, and it is not a rice. It is durum wheat in here, so it is not gluten-free. It does contain wheat. I just remembered because I'm using my stock, it does not have salt in it, so I definitely need to get some salt in here. So I am gonna add probably 2 teaspoons of salt. If you are using like regular store-bought, like salted broth, you would not do this. I'm just doing it because it doesn't have any salt in it. Perfect. The soup's come to a boil, so now we need to add our meatballs, and we are going to just kind of plop them in, and we are just, when we get it in, we're just gonna stir them just to make sure that they don't actually stick together. Just stirring as I put it in. Put a couple in and then give it a stir. Just gonna leave this cook for just a few minutes, and then we're gonna add our pasta. We're gonna add our pasta now. So I have 8 ounces of tiny pasta in here. Now, the note on the recipe does say that 8 ounces is a lot of pasta for this soup. If you like a more brothy soup, then use less pasta, but we are gonna put the 8 ounces in because we like that. Just give it a stir. It just says to put the pasta in, continue to cook at a low boil until both the pasta and the meatballs are cooked. It says it can take approximately 20 minutes. So we're gonna turn this down a little bit, put it on a low boil. While the soup is cooking, we are going to get started on our donut dough. So to a stand mixer, we need to have our dough attachment. And then I have 1 cup of lukewarm milk in here. Then we need to add 3 teaspoons of active dry yeast. It does also say in here, or instant yeast. And then we need to add 1 teaspoon of granulated white sugar. We're just gonna use that organic white sugar. And then we're gonna let this rest for approximately 10 minutes until it gets nice and foamy. And we'll get our other ingredients. I do have to get, what is it here? A 1/4 cup of butter melted. So I'm gonna get that all done while I'm waiting for this to get foamy. Our soup is pretty much done. You can see here that the pasta is cooked. The meatballs are looking pretty cooked, same with the pasta. So I think what I'm going to do is just kind of leave this on low, or I'm gonna actually maybe take it off of the heat and just kind of put it to the back burner because it's 1:30, obviously we're not gonna eat supper now. And then all I have to do when it is supper time is I just have to turn the heat back on and just heat it back up because it is all cooked through right now. The yeast is all foamy now, so we are going to get the other ingredients added into it. A 1/4 cup of melted butter added in here. 1 egg, room temperature. Half a teaspoon of salt. And a 1/4 cup of sugar. We're just using that white sugar. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna add 2 cups of flour to this, and then we're gonna mix it on a low speed. I'm actually just gonna get that egg beat up a little bit in here because it's not beat up. We'll put our dough hook on, and now again, we're gonna get it incorporated and mixing on low speed. And then it says that you need to add a remaining 1 cup of flour slowly, and you need to keep adding it until the dough no longer sticks to the side of the bowl. So we'll turn it on and then slowly add that extra 1 cup. Just gonna test the dough because we want an elastic kind of dough. It's still a little sticky, so I'm gonna add the remaining flour. And then once we get all that flour mixed in, we are going to increase the speed to medium-low, and then we're gonna mix it for 5 minutes until the dough is elastic and smooth. Okay, I'm gonna turn the speed up and I'm gonna set the timer. 5 minutes is up. We're gonna get the dough off here. It is a nice elastic dough. See it, it's really smooth and elasticy. Got a big bowl here, and I'm just adding some avocado oil. I'm just gonna oil the bowl. You can use cooking spray for this also. We're gonna add the dough in, just kind of cover it with the oil. Put some plastic wrap on it. And then this needs to sit for an hour to rise. Yep, so it says it's got to double in size and rise for an hour. And then we will come back and we will get it all ready. Guys, when I was looking for an air fryer donut recipe, 90% of the recipes you can make using one of those like Pillsbury biscuit doughs. They're super easy to make with that. But because we are in the pantry challenge, I have lots of yeast, I have lots of flour. I obviously want to get that stuff used up. So I am making it kind of from scratch versus the Pillsbury one. But if you are in a hurry and want to try these, there's lots of recipes on Pinterest where you can just use like a biscuit dough to do this. So we're gonna put this over to near the oven and we're gonna let this double in size. Well, we are waiting on that donut dough. It's actually almost ready. I started a little project. So I moved a shelf that was upstairs before where all of my empty cans would go, and I was having to go up and down, and it was just not working for me. So I scooted this pantry shelf over a little bit and put this empty shelf in, and guys, this is what the pantry challenge has produced. When I started this pantry challenge, I only had like these newer cases like that hadn't been opened yet, but look at all these empty jars. This is how much we eat out of our pantry. Like, I cannot get over this. It's crazy. So I'm gonna put all of these jars, I had these all upstairs. Me and Steven just carried these all downstairs. It's a little bit of a workout. So yeah, we've got to get all of these jars back into that shelf back there. It's a workout. But I'm super happy to see how many empty jars we've been producing so far. It's crazy how much we eat out of this pantry. And I'm actually planning on doing a pantry tour at the beginning of March, so probably like the first week of March. I'm just gonna do a pantry tour and just show you guys exactly how much we've gone through, and I'm gonna put some before and after shots, but that will be after the pantry challenge because I want to kind of finish out the pantry challenge. But I have been noticing that I am having some empty shelves, and that is awesome because it is really showing me what we're eating. But okay, now I've had a little bit of a break. I'm going to get all of these jars back onto that shelf. These newer packages, I'm actually just gonna go and put on this shelf because, like I said, I'm starting to get empty spaces over here, so I'm gonna just put them over here. We have the turkey roaster up there. That is what I do a majority of my sauces with. And then I also put my like food mill, my strainer, it's all up there. And then I have some more jars up there that don't fit on the other ones. But this is kind of my organization. I like to be able to have the size of the jar displayed so that I can tell what is all in these boxes, and I keep them all according to size. It's just, I find it's a lot more helpful for me when I'm coming to either grab jars to can or to put jars back. That's just a good organization system that works for me. And then I put some brand new 32 ounce wide mouths under there so they fit perfect. That's the whole shelf, all organized. And I do have empty spots here because I know, like already I know I have 4 jars in the dishwasher right now to be washed. So this is going to fill up even more in the month of February. But it's so much more efficient for me having them down here. Our dough has risen nice. I don't know if you can see the rise on that, but it's perfect. So I am going to lightly flour this countertop. And I have my rolling pin here. And we're gonna take this dough out of here. We're just gonna put it on to here. And we're gonna gently roll it until it says it needs to be about a 1/2 inch thickness. And I have my cookie sheet here with my silicone mat on it. It says to lightly flour it. Or you could use parchment paper if you don't have these baking mats. Parchment paper also works well. And then I'm getting to use my donut cutter, guys. So we are going to cut the donuts out of this dough. It doesn't cut them like perfect. So it says to take the donut and the donut hole. Okay, we have to push down a little harder on this dough. So take the donut and the donut hole and then put it on to this cookie sheet. So let's try to push down a lot harder. It's not getting the donut hole out very good. This is a vintage one, so that could be why. It says you can also use a cookie cutter if you... Let's try to use a cookie cutter because this is not getting the inside of this squished enough. I forgot I also had this vintage one, so let's try and see if this one works. No, not sharp enough either. Guys, I'm so disappointed with my vintage ones. I really wanted them to work. I mean, it does work better with the donut puncher, but they're smaller donuts. And I want to kind of keep them this size. So I have my cookie cutters here. This is really cool cookie cutter set. I got this on Amazon and it's all different sizes. So let's see kind of which size we need. So about this one right here. This one looks to be about the same size. Yep. So then we'll do that. And then the center is about this one. So then we'll just put that in the middle. Much better. There we go. Okay, we'll do that then. I'd imagine if you had like a gluten-free flour mix, you could also make these gluten-free. Because I can't think of anything else other than the flour that would have had gluten in it. I've also seen people make these donuts using pizza dough. So what it says to do now is take some greased plastic wrap and cover these, or wax paper. So we have wax paper here, and I'm gonna use my little sprayer. This has avocado oil in it, and I'm just gonna kind of grease the top of this wax paper with it. It says cover loosely and let these rise until, again, doubled in volume. This time it's only going to take about 30 minutes. We're going to get the air fryer out and get that preheated. I am going to get the glaze started right now because it is okay to set aside. So we need to get 8 tablespoons of butter melting in this little pot here on the stove, and then we're gonna add 2.5 cups of powdered sugar to it and vanilla extract. So I'll give you the measurements as we go through. So let's get this 8 cups of butter. So 1 stick of butter, 1/2 cup of butter. We'll get that melted in here. And I'm turning it on like a medium low heat. Actually, it says medium high. So we need to add 2.5 cups of powdered sugar to this. We also need to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Not all this butter is melted yet. I have some very hot milk that I had in the microwave, and once we get this all melted together, what we have to do is take it off the heat and slowly add up to 4 tablespoons of melted butter. We're not trying to make like an icing, we're making, well, it is an icing, but it's like a glaze. So we need to get it to that nice glaze consistency. So we don't want it super thick. I may have also potentially added too much icing sugar. Whoops. Okay, I'm gonna pull it off of the heat because I do not want the sugar to burn. So we're gonna slowly add in up to 4 tablespoons of this hot butter, or hot milk, sorry. It's not butter, it's milk. It's a little bit browner because I'm using that vanilla. You could, if you wanted like a really nice clean icing, you could use like a clear vanilla. I think they have them at like, I don't know where you could get it, but they do sell clear vanilla. We're using the real stuff. It says you want a thin glaze but not watery. So I think we need to add just a little bit more milk. I did make a mistake by adding the powdered sugar before the butter was all melted. So now I'm kind of dealing with, I don't know if you can see it, but a little bit more of a clumpier icing, but that's fine. So that's our icing, our glaze. So we're just waiting on those donuts to rise. They'll probably take a little bit because my kitchen's pretty cold. I just got the air fryer preheated and I want to show you guys. I made 2 packages of these meatballs. These are going to be perfect to make this soup again. All I have to do, you see, just add some frozen spinach in there, pasta, chicken broth, and this, and it's such an easy, quick supper. So I'm going to get these in the freezer. But first, we have this preheated. My house is so cold that these donuts are not doing a very good second rise, so we're just gonna cook them as they are. Some of them are rising better than others. I have them sitting in my oven with the light on, just to see if I could get it to rise a little bit. So it says you do not want to overcrowd them at all. It says just spray the bottom of the air fryer tray. Oh, and the other thing I did also is I switched out, you can see here, I switched out the wax paper for plastic because I thought that may have been an issue. So let's get these smaller ones here first. So you want to put them in here and you do not want them touching because you want them to cook evenly around them. And then we're going to spray the top with oil. And then they're going to go in at 350 for about 5 minutes, and you want them to be golden brown. I can smell them, so I'm just going to, yeah, they're getting brown, so I'm just going to give them a quick flip. I don't want to overcook them. So I think we're going to put the time down to 1 more minute. So 4 minutes is what we'll do them on for the other ones. So we'll just finish these ones up. And then I'm just reheating the glaze up because it, again, my house is so cold it got all hard. Okay. Take them out. That's what they look like, guys. Pretty good. So we'll put them on a cookie sheet. We're going to put them on a cookie sheet that is lined with one of these baking racks. Heated this glaze up a bit more just so that it was a little bit more smoother. So what I'm going to do is I have a little tiny ladle here. And we're just going to ladle this glaze over top of these donuts. This icing is pretty thick. I really ideally would like it to be a little thinner. I think I'm just going to use a regular spoon. Guys, I think I'm going to thin this out a bit because it's pretty, maybe not. Maybe it'll just thin out as it's on the donut. So it says to let these sit for about 10 minutes for the glaze to harden up on the donut. Pretty excited about this, not gonna lie. good does that look? Hopefully they taste good. Okay, let's get another batch in here because we have a lot of batches to do. Guys, we are gonna try one of these donuts. Sorry, that air fryer is a little loud. Hopefully you can hear me. That's what it looks like. It's like, it is legit good. So happy. Now it says that you could reheat these in the air fryer. Just, I think it said 4 minutes. I'll link the recipe for you guys because this is definitely a win. I just gave it to Steven. It is really good. The recipe turned out absolutely amazing. So I have about 4 more, maybe 5 more batches of those donuts to do in that air fryer, and then I'm gonna reheat supper up, and then I'm also making some little garlic sticks to go with it. So that is it for today. That was the icy storm day, and we got quite a bit done. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys. Oh, also, as always, I'm just gonna show you our supper all plated up when we have it ready. There is the final soup. I've made some little garlic stick kind of bread things, but that's the soup. You can see how much the pasta actually absorbs the broth. So like she said, if you really don't want as much pasta, you want it more brothy, then don't put in the full 8 ounces. But here's the best thing. Look at those little donuts, aren't they so cute? So the icing sugar definitely hardened up on me, so that's why those look like that, but these things are so good, and I'm so glad I gave them a try, and I hope you guys try them out if you have an air fryer. Super good. Thanks again for watching, guys.